The day of destiny has arrived. The empire of the rising sun has risen. The Western barbarians will bow before us, or their nations will cease to exist.
This message was broadcast throughout the world earlier today. Allied leaders have gathered in Geneva for an emergency meeting. The Empire's floating island fortress currently controls the North Atlantic, blockading the entire continent of Europe, paralyzing all...
This is unbelievable. While we were busy fighting the Red Menace, this Empire of the Rising Sun was secretly preparing for war. They waited until we and the Soviets were at our weakest and most vulnerable, and now they are at our very doorstep. As you can see, it's not just our problem. The Soviets have also been blocked by these naval monstrosities. So, some of our diplomats have been in negotiations with them regarding a ceasefire, as it's clear that neither one of us can defeat this new enemy alone.
Bingham, I heard a crazy rumor that I know can't possibly be true.
What rumor are you referring to?
That we're negotiating a peace treaty with the commies?
Actually, it's more of a ceasefire.
So you're telling me it is true?
Well, we've already exhausted all of our forces pushing the Russians out of Europe. And now that we have a common enemy...
Bullpucky! You know those Russians can't be trusted. They hate everything we stand for. Freedom, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, apple pie... Did I say freedom? Well, it's worth saying again.
The leaders of all the other Allied nations already agreed.
Not me. Not the U.S. of by God, eh? You're making a very big mistake, my friend. You mark my words.
The Empire believes it is their divine destiny to wipe us off the face of the earth. Prove them wrong, Commander.
Commander, we're heading to Gibraltar to reclaim our port from the Japanese. I'm gonna be helping you out on the ground on this one. If I were you, though, I'd watch your back. I trust these Reds about as far as I can throw them.
Hello there, and welcome to part 13 of Red Alert 3, where we are in Gibraltar on the Allies' side. This is the first mission where you team up with the Soviets, and like a lot of missions, the first part is just a few solitary characters that you must protect and get to a certain point. Now, the thing you got to realise here is Natasha is a lot better than Tanya. in a way that she can attack at longer ranges, and they both have one-hit kill ratios. The only thing that I think Tanya is better than Natasha is, and that is destroying vehicles and or buildings. So, for the first part, I would use your strike target ability a lot more than you would usually. So if you see a couple of enemy units, just click the strike target and then get Natasha to do it. But for situations like that, such as you see, you can use Tanya a lot more effectively in that situation. Especially when it comes to the King Oni, when Natasha will try and snipe the King Oni with the airstrike, but won't manage to get him in time before he closes the gap. So Tanya can just charge in and get the King Oni sorted quite simply. Such as the Krishna 45 mission in the Soviet side, there are airplanes that are docked, as it were, in hangars and whatnot. And if you destroy one airplane, it will set off a chain reaction that should destroy all airplanes, and that is something I would highly recommend when you get to the airport. But just for this part, use Natasha to strike out the enemy infantry, and use Tanya to strike at enemy armor and buildings. Now, when you've got a base, you do come under some serious firepower they attack you with. Now, the reason why this is such a long video, as is the North Sea video, which is coming next, is because it took me a while to figure out the right combination of units to use. I started off by using Vindicator bombers, which I did use for the majority of the match, but when I realised that Vindicator bombers are only useful in the first part, when you get to the enemy base, it's really hard to use the Vindicator bombers because a lot of they have a lot of anti-air units in their base. So you probably could get a couple of kills with the Vindicators, assuming you have enough of them. But here's what took me a while to realise, and once I did realise it, I managed to finish it remarkably quickly at that point. But use Guardian tanks. The first thing you need to do when it comes to your base is build defences, specifically anti-air defences, or in my case, get Tanya to a specific point and know how to use her well, because you will come under serious firepower from enemy infantry. So there will be about 50 infantry that come at you, and then eventually they will send tanks and the occasional mushroomoid people. They will send that at you. So get towers up. Now, when I said I use Vindicators for the first part of this mission, it's because Vindicators are useful in this first part of the mission. You get cryocopters, and depending on how you want to use them, it depends on how you want to use them, actually. Which is pretty much what I was going to say. Because I can't use cryocopters to their full effectiveness. So I decided to use Vindicator bombers to take out the defences. Once these defences are down and the ships are destroyed, your assault destroyers should be in a position to destroy the enemy base behind that. Now, the enemy base, you can destroy them with Vindicators, which is what the majority of my destruction of the enemy base was, Vindicators. The assault destroyers that I had were kills quite easily, and it was because of that I decided not to use them, because I decided they were quite weak. But using Vindicator using the Vindicator bombers to destroy this southern base, and eventually the two King Onis that will defend the mineral mines, which you need to fulfill the bonus objective. Use them to destroy the southern base and those. Also, when you get to the enemy main base, use your Vindicators to destroy the docks area, because they are not protected by anti-air at all. And the final way you can use your Vindicators is when the enemy commander makes a base in the southern area, and I think that's Yoshida that does that, or is it Naomi? Either one of those, it's not Kenji. Now when they open up their naval base in the rear of your by your allies' base, then that's when you need to use the Vindicators to destroy that pretty quickly. But in this instance, my ally had a large enough force to repel them on their own. I just helped them by destroying a few of their production facilities. Whether that made a difference or not, I don't know. But either way, you do get them quite easily with the Vindicators. This is the hard part that took me quite a lot of time, and that is when you've got to destroy the area behind the towers in the enemy main base. It took me a while to realise that using Vindicator bombers was going to be completely ineffective when it comes to that, because of the enemy building's ability to repair, and the fact that they have a lot of anti-air units there. So, what I did, and if you... here's the enemy first initial attack. But what I did with the enemy main base was I built a wall... I can't remember. The factory base where you can build armor. And from that I built 20 Guardian tanks. Initially I decided I was going to use the Guardian tanks as a way to destroy the anti-air in the base, and I knew that they would be destroyed quite easily. But what I found out when I attacked them is my Guardian tanks were doing a lot better than I had expected them to. So use your Guardian tanks to get into the enemy base, destroy the entire base. Either the way I did it was by destroying the anti-air, and then eventually destroying the factory buildings. But probably, if you're lucky, you should be able to get the factory buildings if you aim for them straight away, because they don't have a lot of anti-infantry apart from the towers. And although there's a lot of towers, they don't have the same range as you would expect, because there's a lot of them. I thought that because there were a lot of towers, then the moment I set my Guardian tanks in there, they'd be obliterated straight away. That is not what happens, because only one turret can fire at you at a time, because obviously they don't have the range to get you. So it's just like taking out one tower at a time if you want to do it that way, or like I said, go straight for the production facilities. Again, I am sorry this takes a while, but you can just fast forward to the parts where I exit, because you know the strategy now. Loads of people can do this different. There are many different ways. I'm sure that an infantry attack might work. I'm sure that even an assault destroyer attack might work. But my personal preference is Guardian tanks, and whether you want to use them is up to you, or just use Vindicator bombers is what I was doing, but you don't really get far unless you have a lot of them. Right, I'm going to be quiet now to let you watch this. I'll be back for the finals. back now, and that has been Gibraltar, part 13 of Red Alert 3. I said it would take a while, and whether you've actually bear with me with this, I don't know. But if the North Sea one which is coming up, which is part 14, is quite a long time. I'm even thinking of fast forwarding the North Sea one. I don't know yet, depending on how long it actually takes to do it. But whether or not it happens, see you then. My name is Unimportant, and this has been Red Alert 3.